All right. Welcome
First
to
episode.
first episode of the DUBS Only podcast. I'm Tyler Brook.
I'm Josh Hall.
We are Warriors fans, just
Born
like
and
everybody
raised.
else. Bay Area
Born and raised Bay Area.
No longer in the Bay Area, but our hearts are still there, and we get transported back to the Bay Area with every jump ball of a Warriors game. And today we have just a ridiculous game one against the Grizzlies. Warriors pull it out. Oh yeah. The Grizzlies and the Warriors.
Every single game is going to be every single game is going to be close. Every single game is going to be down to the wire, grinding it out. It's going to be very different from most Warriors series that we have seen in years past.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Warriors escaped today with a 117-116 win on the road, game one. And you're right. Warriors fans, we're used to seeing this team go into the playoffs and just kind of, we're not too worried about a second round matchup. Once we make it to the finals, that's when it starts. But it's different. We're older. The team is older.
We're not as deep and as veteran as we used to be.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of young guys stepping up. Jordan Poole. First playoffs ever.
He's been amazing.
Balled out in Denver. And he continues what he started in the first couple games in Denver, in Memphis. And
right off the bat,
taking the bench role too, stepping back, letting Curry, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond go into the starting lineup, understand that it's team basketball.
Right. And this was a different lineup one we haven't seen before, with Gary Payton II going in for Jordan Poole, as well as Kevon Looney not starting. However, we had seen that a few times in the Denver series. It's a lot about finding out what your role is going to be on this team for those Warriors players. And we saw Payton, Jordan. Yeah. Go ahead.
Gary Payton stepping up once again, in the small sample size in the Memphis series, shut Ja down pretty well. Obviously Ja still goes for 34, 10 and 9. Right.
Yeah, but he shot 14 of 31. 31 shot attempts for Ja Morant, which is crazy. Next up, it was Poole and Curry both took 20 shots. Poole hit 20. Sorry, Poole did not hit 20. Poole hit 12. Curry hit 8. Clay shot 19. He took 19 shots but hit 6. It was not the best Clay game.
No, 3 for 10. 3 for 10 from 3.
But you knew that shot was going to go in. Every shot at the end, when they had a good look, you thought Curry's was going to go in, and it didn't. But that's where GP2 was there with a clutch offensive rebound. And then Clay's went in. Luckily, of course, he misses the 2 free throws right before it,
which we have not seen happen in quite some time.
We've barely seen Clay even get to the line recently. That was his 7th and 8th attempts of the playoffs. This is the 6th game.
But that will be key down the line. Warriors struggled in the Denver series to hit their free throws.
Mm-hmm.
Better tonight. Curry missing 1. Of course, Clay missing both of those. But that will be a big focus for the Warriors, making sure that they hit their free throws in the clutch and seal these games.
That's why they caught a break today, missing 2. There was that controversial out of bounds call that ended up with the Grizzlies getting the last shot. Ja Morant missed that layup. Warriors escaped. But overall, as a team, they shot 65% from the line. And towards the end, outside of those 2, they need to be better at the end, closing that stuff out. They were up by 10 in the 4th quarter. They let that slip. They were trailing a little bit in the last couple of minutes. Managed to pull it out, but 13 of 20 from the free throw line is somewhere where there's plenty of room for improvement. It just seems like Andrew Wiggins is the one taking all of the team's free throws.
Which is what we want him doing. We want him getting to the line. He's our most athletic player.
Minus
So
Kuminga.
minus Kuminga. So getting him to the line, getting the opposition in foul trouble is what we want to see from Andrew Wiggins. We don't want him
want
going
those
back to
deep
his
twos.
Minnesota ways. Yeah.
Yeah, and he likes that. It's like there's something inside of Andrew Wiggins' head that just keeps pulling him back towards that back two area. He loves that step back behind the back dribble, pull up two. We didn't see that too much today. He got blocked once on one of those shots. Maybe that's what started changing his mind. But he had 17 points. He led the team in rebounding, tied with Otto Porter and Jordan Poole with 8 rebounds.
And
8 rebounds for Jordan Poole.
You could see when Draymond went out with a minute left in the second, the mentality switched with all those role players. Wiggins, Otto Porter, Curry even, you could see them all fighting for the rebounds down low, picking up the slack that Draymond usually would get himself.
And it was on. That was probably the key to the game. Is that the Warriors ended up out rebounding the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are the number 1 rebounding team in the NBA. They out rebounded them 51-47. They were tied with offensive rebounds with 16 each. That's huge. The fact that they were able to beat them on the glass with Draymond out for the second half is monster. And well, that's something that I don't know that the team can sustain. That Brandon Clark, we have watched that guy just dominate the offensive glass. He had 3 offensive rebounds tonight, 9 rebounds total. He's a force down there. The Warriors don't have too much of an answer for him. So the fact that they pulled this one out with no Draymond in the second half, after what may be the most questionable flagrant 2 in recent playoff history, man, what did you think about that?
I was definitely shocked it was a flagrant 2. I definitely understood the flagrant 1. I agreed with Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy,
those guys.
Those guys. But the flagrant 2 definitely caught me by surprise, and that's something Draymond's going to have to keep an eye on for the rest of the playoffs. He gets
we know that too well.
He gets 4 flagrant fouls and he gets suspended for a game. So, 1 more flagrant 2, 2 more flagrant 1s. Draymond misses another game in the postseason, which we know and we've seen what the repercussions of that are. I don't think we have to remind ourselves about
We
Cleveland.
don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that today. This should be a good day. This is a good day for Dub Nation. I mean, just, it's hard to keep total focus because this game was just such a whirlwind. There were so many emotions, like so many near heart attacks in the first game of the second round. And that's new for us. We get spoiled as Warrior fans. We get totally spoiled.
We do.
But you know what? We got the win, and that's okay. And I was thinking, like, going into halftime down by 6, no more Draymond. Thinking about that little dance, like hype up the crowd thing he did before he left the court. Andre Iguodala trying to calm him down to no avail. I went into halftime thinking, this is going to be tough. The Grizzlies are big. They're going to bully us, but we're only down by 6. And we've been in situations like this before. It obviously is a much different scenario, but it reminded me of that Warriors Rockets game in 2019, where they closed the series out and Steph had 30 in the second half. Different solution, different game, different stakes, but they had no Kevin Durant that game. And this time they had no Draymond Green for the second half and they pulled it out. And Stephen Curry and Jordan Poole really delivered when the team needed them to. Jordan Poole hit 5 threes on 10 attempts. He led the team with a +10 ±. He was the best player for them today. And 100%. He is so fun to watch.
I saw one of my favorite tweets I saw. It's if the roles were reversed and Steph Curry taught Monte Ellis, that's who Jordan Poole is. Right?
If Steph Curry taught Monte Ellis, like Steph Curry was there before. And they traded him to Milwaukee.
Throw the trade out, but the way that Jordan plays, he attacks the basket with just so much quickness that, in the first 2 years, we did not really see that so often from Jordan. And now he's blowing by players. He's shifty around the basket, and he's got the range to support, which Monte never had, which is, it is one thing. And, we won't talk too much about the old Warriors because we're all about the future now and the current day now. But it's so exciting to watch him blossom and show up potentially the most improved player, Ja Morant.
True. That's the headline that we haven't seen for this series. It's been Ja versus Steph. Maybe we have a vengeful Jordan Poole coming out. Maybe that's where these 31 points came from. But to me, we've gotten to a point with Jordan Poole, which is so impressive because he puts up 31 today, and I'm not surprised.
And nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. It's not the headline.
Yeah. It's his playoff career high in a small sample size, but this guy can ball. 38 minutes leading the team. Steve Kerr trusts Jordan Poole now. And we didn't think he would for a long time.
And if you're still hating on Jordan Poole, it might be time to put on the Jordan Poole fan club hat. Because
it's a pool party.
It's a pool party. He is the future of the Warriors. I'm putting that on air now.
Wow.
He is the future of the Warriors.
It's hard to argue with it because the Joey Lightyear stuff with setting up this team to contend now and in the future has never focused on Jordan Poole. It's always been around James Wiseman. And we don't have Wiseman on the court right now. We don't know where. I guess he was on the bench, not on the court. And he's still a question mark. But Jordan Poole is an exclamation point.
And
Kuminga is too.
We have a lot to be excited about the future, which I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about on these podcasts as well.
But right now, it's about this playoff run, And so far, the Warriors are showing that they could be a true contender right now. We have yet to see, Phoenix really putting it all together, and I'm sure that they'll gain some momentum in the series against Dallas. But if you're looking at the Western Conference playoffs right now, and you see the Warriors, they're a force out there, and it's tough to not feel too good. But there's still a lot of room for improvement for this team. And their size is a huge disadvantage. That's what I'm nervous about in this series because Memphis has a much better depth, much better depth than the Warriors do. No question about it. DeAnthony Melton came in out of nowhere, not even playing in the last 2 games against Minnesota, put up 14 points. That's big. The Warriors don't have that plug-in, where did he come from guy. You know who to expect the production to come from.
Right. You know that minutes for Moody, Belly, JTA, they're going to be small. Damian Lee is one of those players who, we might see get some more minutes depending on foul trouble and who's got a hot hand.
The Warriors,
but I think one player that's definitely going to need to step up his offensive game is going to be Otto Porter. I think we saw him, early in the season, he was hitting all his threes. It was exciting to see him healthy and playing like he did early in his day. He's with Wizards. But, last series, end of the season, hasn't been shooting as well. You can always count on him to get that offensive board and that, fight for rebounds. But 3-point shooting, only took 1 attempt today.
Right. And he
got to see him step up.
Yeah. And he plays big amount of minutes for this team. And luckily, Steve Kerr can roll him out there because he's one of the biggest guys on the roster right now. and he'll grab his rebounds. He tied the team lead for them today with 8, but you don't think of Otto Porter as a rebounder. You think of him as somebody who can stretch the floor. And if he can start hitting those threes, just being somebody in the corner, that's going to make it so much tougher on the Grizzlies defense. So there's a lot. There's this is why we love the team. There's just so many different weapons. And if they start playing to the best of their abilities, it's going to be dangerous. And we're seeing the Warriors for the first time all year really being fully healthy. Steph Curry is officially back in the starting lineup, and he's not looking back. His 6th man of the year candidacy is unfortunately over, but it's what we've missed. We haven't had a playoff game like this in years, since before the pandemic, where the Warriors were really tested, had to come from behind, crawl back, and execute down the stretch and really win this game. And they showed that they still have that.
And I think you're going to see better performances from key players. Draymond doesn't, get ejected at halftime. It's a completely different ball game. Again, who knows what would have happened? But I think next game you'll see Klay shoot a lot better than he did today. Wiggins, I hope you're, shooting 100 free throw attempts a day, because you got to hit your free throws in the clutch, which he did today. He did hit those 2 free throws. Was very nervous when he went to the line for those. But I think you'll see better performances from everybody. I think even Steph Curry, only 8 for 20, from the field, 5 of those being threes.
It speaks to who Steph Curry is when he puts up 24, and we're like, come on, like he played fine.
Yeah, he had the worst plus minus on the team, -9. That is not what you usually see from Steph Curry.
No. And hey, but playing with the eye test of plus minus for this game, Dylan Brooks was a +9 for the Grizzlies, and he was not having his best day today. 3 for 13 shooting, 8 points total. Not his best. 8 points for Dylan Brooks, 9 points for Desmond Bane. That's probably not going to last in game 2. The Grizzlies are going to want to come back on their home court and steal a win. And they could blow the Warriors out. You never know what team is going to come out of the gate for this. But I was really surprised by the play of Jaren Jackson today for the Grizzlies. Yes. That guy couldn't miss. 6 for 9 on 3-pointers. He had 10 rebounds, 6 of them on the offensive glass, finished with 33 points. What do you think of that performance?
It's sort of what I'm sure Grizzlies fans have come to expect this from Jaren Jackson. They know what he's about. They know his potential. But for the casual NBA fan, somebody who maybe hasn't followed Memphis, as closely as others, this is what Jaren Jackson is about. He's going to play hard, and he's going to, try to make his mark on the game.
I'm familiar with Jaren Jackson's game, but having that automatic 3-point stroke you can't come to expect that too often.
No, I don't think you'll see that as often as you did tonight. But that's also a key point looking forward for Warriors fans. Jaren Jackson's not going to go 6 for 9 from the 3-point line in every game. Ja Morant's not going to hit 4 3-pointers in each game. But that's where Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, some of their bench players, D'Anthony Melton, they'll have to step up and start hitting their shots. So we're used to seeing that, and they'll start falling. So you'll have to be wary of that. I think the guards on the Warriors tend to fall asleep sometimes on those wings in the corners. I hate to point out Steph Curry because, he is the best. He is the 2-time MVP, but we've seen him fall asleep and leave wide open 3-pointers before.
And we saw that totally happen down the stretch when they took out GP2. They left Steph or Clay or Jordan Poole on him on ball, and he got right by. 2 back-to-back buckets. One of them was that and one that shifted a bunch of momentum back to Memphis. The Warriors defensively are pretty thin right now, and that's definitely something to worry about because, yeah, John Morant and Jaren Jackson combined for 67 points tonight. That exact number between those two players might not happen again. But the Grizzlies are deep. They have players of all different skill sets and sizes and length who can rebound and jump and defend and switch, and they can score. And the Warriors don't have that as much to match them. The Warriors are really relying on their experience and their knowledge of the game. But Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Jordan Poole cannot contend nearly as well with those better backcourts on the defensive end. That's the thing, because on defense, they're not really pulling their weight. But on offense, those guys are like the best trio in basketball right now. Maybe not in basketball, the best trio. I'm sorry, I'm not the delusional Warriors fan, but those 3 guys are really tough to stop. And we saw that with the historic offensive rating numbers in the first round against Denver.
And we just got to hope that they keep it up. If you're a Warriors fan, you got to just remain faithful in this team. You know, we haven't lost our motto, strength in numbers, even though there's a different motto this year for the playoffs.
Gold-blooded.
Gold-blooded. I think this team still reigns true to that old motto, strength in numbers. You know, Gary Payton II has been one of my favorite players to watch throughout the year, the 15th man.
This could have been Avery Bradley.
It could have been Avery Bradley. And do the Warriors end up with the 3rd seed without Gary Payton? I'm not sure. I don't think so. He's come up clutch a lot, not just defensively, but also on the offensive end. He's always had those highlight plays, shift the momentum, bring the energy back into the stadium, suck the life out of the air of whatever away arena they're playing at. This team holds true to that motto, strength in numbers. So I say you hold your faith, you keep your faith in the Warriors, keep your faith in the numbers that we have, and we keep steamrolling teams and keeping our foot on the pedal, you know, not letting up.
Absolutely. And it can be tough, and it's a challenge. The playoffs are tough. You can feel the intensity. You know, I mean, not that I'm out there, but as somebody watching this team, this game was a different energy than we've experienced in a long time. And we don't want the Grizzlies to put an end to this season. They ended it last year and it sucked. And the Warriors, they want to go out and they want to win this championship. And you can't look too far ahead yet because there's still so far to go. This series, it's not in the bag for the Warriors by any means.
Oh.
Game 2 is a few days away, and it can go a whole lot of different ways.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you a question. Where do you see this series going? What's your prediction?
My gut has told me Warriors in 6. I think that I would have really been unsure about it if they had not pulled out this win. I really wanted this win. And when's the last time the Warriors lost a game 1? They lost game 1 against Toronto in the NBA Finals. But outside of that, they've taken care of business for the most part to start off these series. And I'm sure if you look at the statistics behind it, whoever wins game 1 has a higher chance of winning the series. So I still think Warriors in 6. The Grizzlies are too good to put away as easily as the Nuggets were. How about you? What do you think?
Initially, I was also Warriors as 6. But I think the Grizzlies will win on Tuesday night, but the Warriors will get the next 3, and it's Warriors in 5. They go to Memphis and close it out in front of Memphis's home crowd. In that is the crowning moment that the NBA knows that the Warriors are back.
It feels like, first of all, I like the confidence, you know? It's nice. It's nice to just watch this team, and when they're executing, it's like, who's going to stop this? Like maybe Boston, maybe Milwaukee. There's a long way to go.
There's
Phoenix
a long
is
way
really
to go.
good. It's going to be a different playoff run than we've ever experienced, and who knows? It might not be a run for that much longer. But what makes you say? Let's going forward and looking at Game 2? What makes you think that the Grizzlies are going to pull that one out?
I think every game is going to be close. I think every game is going to be decided within 10 points. I think that's just in the Grizzlies' nature to not let up or not let a lead get too far ahead. I think they're going to be angry. I think they're going to be angry and upset. But I think it's going to be one of those 5-point games where it's just going to come down to the last couple of minutes executing, foul trouble, who's hitting their shots, who's not. Of course, do I want the Warriors to win? Yes, that's the biased Warriors fan in my heart. And I wouldn't be surprised either if the Warriors eked it out. But I don't think the Grizzlies give up another 2-0 series lead. You know, I don't think they go behind 2-0 again. If they do, I think
They didn't against Minnesota. It was 1-1. They lost that game 1 on their home court too, and they bounced back and they blew them out in Game 2. So yeah, they will come back with a vengeance. But the Warriors are a different team than the T-Wolves. Yeah, man, those T-Wolves.
It would have been a very different series. Would have been a very different series if it was the T-Wolves over the Grizzlies.
Totally. But for now, with this Warriors Grizzlies series, you could not ask for a better Game 1. It had the dramatics, had an ejection, had foul trouble, had highlights. That third quarter where there were no fouls called for 5 minutes was electric, with Jaren Jackson hitting like 3 3-pointers and Jordan Poole going right back with him. This is playoff basketball. This is what we've missed as Warrior fans. This is what like a healthy Klay Thompson next to Stephen Curry. It's just like warms your heart, doesn't it?
It's magic. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And especially after a miserable game in Milwaukee and Boston, you know, this is the game that NBA fans come to expect. They close playoff games, not blowouts and just not fun basketball. This was one of the best games of the playoffs so far, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, this was a great game. It reminded me of the Game 1 with the Celtics and the Nets, when the Jason Tatum game winner, John Morant's game winner against the T-Wolves in Game 5 was also great. There's a lot of exciting stuff in the NBA right now, and as a Warriors fan, we're in a good spot. We have a series lead in the conference semis. Who knows what'll happen on the other side with with Dallas and Phoenix. But it's a good time to be a Warriors fan. And that's why on the DUBS only podcast, we will be laser focused on this Warriors team, this whole playoff run. And hopefully it keeps going on.
Looking forward to it. You know, glad we're starting this up now. You know, start of the second round and looking forward to creating more and more content.
Strength in numbers. Warriors are up 1-0 on the Grizzlies, 117-116. A win is a win. It was messy. We get Draymond Green back for Game 2. And
Tuesday night, another game in Memphis, and we'll be coming out with another podcast after that game.
It's a beautiful thing to watch. Well, Josh, it's been fun tonight. Can't wait for Game 2.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it as well.
All right, man. Go Warriors.
Go Warriors, DUBS only.